Hey everybody, welcome to J Stern Designs. I'm freshly back from Stitches, Texas, where I taught a variety of sewing classes. We had a really great time. One of the classes I taught was my skirt drafting class. In this class, you use your measurements to create a custom fit sloper. And I had a beginner sewer in the class, and after we got her pattern ready to go so she could go home and make a skirt, she asked me about putting in a zipper. And we talked about a variety of different zipper techniques, visible zipper and a centered zipper, and I told her I would do a quick video showing how to do a centered zipper in the side seam of a skirt. This is really an easy technique, perfect for beginners. So if you're new to garment sewing and you would like to know how to put in a super easy zipper in a side seam, this is what I'm going to show you right now. You can see on my sewing machine I have two pieces of fabric that are partially sewn together. We're going to pretend this is my skirt. Down here is my hem. So I started sewing from the hem, and I'm going to sew up to where I marked the position of where I want the zipper to end. Okay, so this line right here. So as I stitch to that line, what I'm going to do is I'm going to back tack right at the line, and then when I start to go all the way to the waist edge, I'm going to increase my stitch length to 5. So basically from the base of where I want the zipper to go to the top of the waist, I'm just going to baste that. And by based I mean you make a large stitch length on your sewing machine. So I'm using a 5 stitch length. It's pretty big. Wait till you see the difference. Alright, so I'm going to stitch that. And you'll be able to see when I take it out how big the stitch is. Okay, so you can see my regular stitch length down here, and then you can see how big it gets from where I mark the base of the zipper to the top. So the next thing we're going to do is press the seam allowances open. If you're working on the sewing machine with a non-stretch fabric, you could finish your edges with a triple zigzag or one of the other overcast kind of stitches to keep your fabric from raveling if you don't own a serger. If you do own a serger, I would finish these edges first. Alright, so I'm just going to use my iron and I'm just going to press my seam allowances open. Like that. Okay, so you can see that I've got, this is going to be my side seam of my skirt. Okay, so this is the right side. And this is the wrong side with my seam allowances pressed open. This is where I mark the base of my zipper. Okay, this is a regular zipper, all-purpose zipper. You can see it's too long for the space I want. I don't want to trim my zipper at the top because I've got zipper stops at the top that help keep the zipper from unzipping when you're wearing your skirt. Alright, so the stops on the top of the zipper should be positioned whatever your seam allowance is for the waist. Okay, so if you're working with a 1/2 inch seam allowance, those zipper stops need to be a 1/2 inch from the top. So I'm just going to draw my 1/2 inch guide right there. And I'm going to use this wonderful double-sided sticky tape, Wonder Tape, and I'm going to put it on the right side of the twill tape like this on either side of my zipper. This is going to keep the zipper in place for me so I don't have to pin it. I'm going to use my new Point Perfect tool to really press that Wonder Tape in place. The firmer you press the adhesive into your fabric, the easier it is to get the backing off. Sometimes it's really hard for the backing to come off, but I've noticed with my Point Perfect, if I use it to really adhere the adhesive part of the Wonder Tape to it, then the backing comes off really easily. See how nice that is? Alright, so now that I've got my adhesive showing, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my zipper face up on the table. At the very top, I position the stops at the top of the zipper equal with the line I drew. Alright, so I'm peeking under my zipper and I'm making sure the actual seam that you can see right there is centered on my teeth. So as I roll that down, I'm going to make sure that it's positioned like that all the way down. This is where I mark the base of my zipper right here. Okay, so I just want to make sure that the zipper is centered right on that seam. It's important to center the seam along the zipper teeth because after we sew the zipper to the fabric, we're going to actually remove the basting. So I'm using my Point Perfect tool to guarantee that I'm centered. So see how I can see that my zipper is centered underneath there. Okay, because I made a crease in the fabric to check. All right, now the next step is I want to make a guide to sew the zipper to the fabric. So I'm going to use my Scotch tape and I'm going to center that on top of the seam as well. So I'm just going to stick it right on, centering it like so. Okay, and this is 3/4 inch Scotch tape. The reason why you want to use 3/4 inch wide tape is because the twill tape on either side of your zipper is 3/8 of an inch if you're using a standard all-purpose zipper. So the total width of your zipper is about an inch. So this will give us a guide to sew along the edge that's perfect for catching not only the fabric from the right side, but the twill tape from the wrong side. Okay, so now that I have my Scotch tape on there and I have it centered on my side seam from the top, we're going to go to the sewing machine. All right, so you can see I've got my zipper foot on and I've got my needle lined up perfectly with the edge of the Scotch tape. And basically I'm going to put my stitch length on 3 and I'm going to stitch right down the edge of the Scotch tape. And at the top I'm just going to back tack so I can block that. And now I'm just going to stitch along the Scotch tape. And I'm stitching through the zipper and the fabric on the right side. I'm also holding the seam allowances down. So this is like doing 3 things. Okay, so when I get to the mark I made for the base of my zipper, I'm going to stop, pick up my presser foot. I'm going to put my presser foot back down after I pivot, and then I'm going to use my hand wheel and I'm going to turn it. It's over here. I'm turning it towards me to sew over my zipper teeth. These zipper teeth are nylon, but you don't want to rush over because you can break your needle. So I'm just going to stitch carefully over the nylon teeth till I get to the other side of my Scotch tape. Stop, pivot, and stitch up the other side of my Scotch tape. Okay, when I get to the top where the pool is, I'm just going to be real careful to sew straight because it's a little bit bulky there, but the 3/4 inch Scotch tape keeps the presser foot far enough away from the pool that you should be able to do it. And again, I'm going to back tack to secure that. All right, so here's the cool thing. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually take the Scotch tape off. All right, so the right side of your side seam will look like this. Okay, and then I'm just going to turn it upside down and use my little scissors in here, and I'm just going to run them, you know, along the center. You can use a seam ripper too. I don't know where my seam ripper is, but basically I'm just using my scissors and I'm just running it straight down, and the basting comes right out, see? Just when you get to the bottom, make sure you don't cut through the base of your where you sewed the zipper on. So I'm just going to snip that. Alright, so I'm just going to pick the little pieces of thread, basting thread off, and then basically when you unzip your zipper, it'll look like this. Okay, and when it's zipped, there's enough room underneath the fabric to hide the pool. Okay, and if you use a zipper that's the color of your fabric, that will not be very noticeable at all. So this is a super easy way to put in a zipper if you're a new sewer, perfect for side seams and skirts. If you have any questions about how to do this zipper technique, you can post your questions below, Or if you're a new sewer and you have questions on how to do things, please post comments because I'm going to start a new playlist for beginner sewers. So this will be the first video in that playlist, how to do a easy centered zipper. I hope you guys have a great day, and I will see you again soon.